The fire was fading fast, and Mira no longer had the strength to gather more wood. She had been walking for 3 days since the banishment, her feet torn and blistered, her body trembling from hunger and exhaustion. The thin cloak she'd been permitted to take offered almost no warmth against the sharp autumn cold, and she knew that if she didn't find shelter soon, she wouldn't make it through another night. But there was no shelter anywhere, only an endless stretch of dark, unforgiving forest in every direction. So she had stopped in a small clearing, built a weak fire from damp twigs and dead leaves, and sat with her back against a fallen log, waiting for whatever fate decided to send her way. Wolves, perhaps. Or bears. Or even the cold itself slowly seeping into her bones until she drifted into sleep and never woke again. It felt almost merciful compared to the life she had left behind. Mira closed her eyes, her mind drifting back to the rejection ceremony. She'd known it would come. Everyone had. The moment she'd presented as an Omega at 16, it had been obvious something was wrong. She couldn't shift, couldn't feel the pack bonds, couldn't sense other wolves unless they were right in front of her. The healers had examined her and declared her defective, leaving her family drowning in shame. Her parents had died when she was 12, killed during a territorial clash with a neighboring pack. She remembered her father shouting for them to run, telling her mother to take Mira and her younger sister Emma to safety. But her mother had refused to abandon him. They had both fallen defending the border. After that, Mira and Emma had been raised by the pack, not out of affection, but obligation. Barely tolerated, especially after Mira's defect became impossible to ignore. Emma had been the fortunate one. She'd presented as a normal Omega at 15, able to shift easily, and was soon matched to a Beta from another pack. She'd moved away 2 years ago and never contacted Mira again. Emma had made it clear she didn't want anything to do with a defective sister who could ruin her standing. When Mira turned 21, the minimum mating age, her intended mate had rejected her publicly in front of the entire Silverpine pack. Garrett, a strong Beta with pure bloodlines, had looked at her with disgust and spoken the formal words, "I reject you, Mira, as my mate. You're broken. Useless. You'll never bear strong pups. You're not worthy of the Silverpine name." The rejection hurt less than it should have. She'd never felt the mate bond with Garrett, only a sense of obligation. But the banishment that followed had been cruel. She was given 1 hour to gather her belongings, forbidden to say goodbye, and escorted to the border by armed guards who made it clear she'd be killed if she ever returned. Now she was alone in the wilderness, waiting to die with nothing but a dying fire and the clothes she wore. The wind picked up, scattering sparks into the darkness. Mira pulled her cloak tighter, trying to ignore the gnawing hunger twisting her stomach. She'd eaten berries earlier, but they'd made her sick. She didn't have the survival skills needed to live outside a pack. She was going to die out here. The only question was how long it would take. A branch snapped somewhere in the darkness. Mira's eyes flew open, her heart hammering. She stared into the shadows beyond the firelight, trying to see what was moving out there. Another snap, closer this time, followed by the soft, deliberate sound of paws on fallen leaves. They had come for her. She didn't run. Didn't move. There was no point. If it was a predator, she had no strength to fight or flee. If it was a Silverpine patrol ensuring she was truly gone, she was already dead. She simply waited. The first wolf emerged slowly from between the trees, its golden eyes catching the firelight. It was huge, easily twice the size of an ordinary wolf, its dark gray fur marked with scars. A wild wolf, not a shifter. Mira had heard the stories of the wild wolves deep in the forest, descendants of ancient bloodlines untouched by human form. Dangerous, territorial, hostile to shifters. But this one didn't attack. It stood at the edge of the clearing, head low, watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Then, to her shock, it took 3 steps forward and lay down between her and the forest, as if guarding her. Mira stared, stunned. Wild wolves didn't behave like this. They didn't approach fires, didn't lie near strangers, certainly didn't act like protectors. Before she could make sense of it, a second wolf stepped out. lighter in color, almost silver, with intelligent amber eyes. It studied the first wolf, then her, and seemed to decide something. It walked calmly to the opposite side of the fire and lay down, mirroring the first. Then a third appeared. And a fourth. And more, wolves emerging one by one from the darkness, taking positions around the clearing until Mira was surrounded by a ring of them. She counted in disbelief. 20. 20 massive wild wolves lying in a protective circle, their eyes gleaming like stars. It should have terrified her. It should have sent her scrambling for safety she didn't have. Instead, Mira felt something she hadn't felt in years: warmth, safety, connection. As if these wild creatures, who owed her nothing, had silently decided she was worth protecting. One of the wolves, a large male with a white patch on his chest, rose and padded toward her. Mira froze as he approached. He stopped inches away, close enough that she could feel the heat of his body, and lowered his head until his nose nearly touched her face. They stared at each other in silence. Then slowly, he pressed his forehead to hers. The sensation that washed through her was indescribable. Not a pack bond, something older, deeper, primal. She felt his emotions clearly: curiosity, recognition, certainty that she belonged with them. And beneath it all, a single word echoed in her mind: sister. The wolf returned to his place. The others settled as well, some resting, others keeping watch. Mira trembled, struggling to grasp what had just happened. She was a wolf speaker. The realization hit hard. Her grandmother used to tell legends about rare individuals who could communicate with true wolves, who were blessed by the moon goddess. But her grandmother had died long ago, and the stories had faded with her. Mira had assumed they were myths. But they were real. Because she could feel the wolves now, 20 distinct minds brushing against her consciousness, recognizing her, choosing her. They had come because they knew what she was. Wolves protected their own. Tears slid down her cheeks. For the first time since her rejection and banishment, for the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged. Not with the shifters who had scorned her, but with these wild, loyal creatures who accepted her without hesitation. She fell asleep that night surrounded by wolves, warmer and safer than she had ever been in the Silverpine pack. When morning came, the wolves remained. They rose with the sun, stretching and shaking out their fur, but none left. The white-patched male approached again. This time Mira reached out, her fingers brushing through his thick fur. He leaned into her touch, a deep rumble of contentment vibrating through him. "Thank you," she whispered. "For staying. For protecting me." His amber eyes met hers, and she felt the meaning behind them. "You are pack. We stay." In the days that followed, a rhythm formed. The wolves hunted, sharing their kills and teaching her how to survive. She learned which plants were edible, where to find water, how to build shelter. They taught through gestures and emotion, patient and gentle, and Mira absorbed everything. She named the white-patched male Storm, because his presence felt like the quiet before thunder. The silver female became Luna for her moonlit fur. The scarred black wolf who kept watch at night she named Shadow. The russet female who always brought flowers and herbs became Sage. The young male with a torn ear who loved to play became Dash. One by one she came to know them: Frost the wise elder, Ember fierce and protective, River who loved water, Thorn, scarred yet gentle. Each wolf had a unique personality, thoughts, quirks. They weren't beasts. They were family. 3 weeks passed, and Mira grew stronger. Her feet healed, her body nourished. Her senses sharpened. She still couldn't shift, but she felt the forest, its movements, its whispers. She was becoming what she was meant to be: a wolf speaker. On a cold morning when frost clung to the ground and her breath fogged the air, everything changed. Mira sat by the fire, Luna resting beside her, when Storm suddenly stiffened. The wolves moved instantly, forming a line between her and the southern trees. Someone was approaching. Mira rose slowly. Through her bond with the wolves, she felt their tension, but also curiosity. Recognition. A man stepped into the clearing. Tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair and eyes that glinted gold. He moved with the grace of a predator. An alpha. He stopped at the edge of the clearing, scanning the wolves before his gaze settled on Mira. He bowed, deeply, respectfully. "Forgive the intrusion," he said, voice steady. "My name is Darius, Alpha of the Ironwood Pack. I've been searching for you for a long time." Mira weighed his words. A search that long meant he'd known what to look for. "You knew about wolf speakers," she said. "I did," Darius replied. "You're not nobody, Mira. You're one of the rarest gifts the moon goddess offers. If the rumors are true, you're the first to appear in over a century." He stepped forward. Storm growled. Darius stopped immediately, hands raised in peace. "I mean no harm. I offer protection. And answers." Mira studied him. He knew too much. He'd bowed to Storm. None of this was accidental. Answers to what? To why you couldn't shift. Why you felt cut off from your pack. Why you were rejected. His eyes held hers, intense and unwavering. Wolf speakers don't shift because their gift is different. You walk between worlds, human and wolf, tame and wild. You're a bridge. A guardian of the old ways. Silverpine rejected what they didn't understand. But I understand. Emotion tightened Mira's chest. All her life she'd been told she was broken. Now this stranger called her valuable. "What do you want?" she asked. "I want you in my pack," Darius said simply. "Not as an Omega. As a wolf speaker. Someone who can help us reconnect with the wild wolves. Someone honored, protected, free." It felt too good to trust blindly. "And what do you gain?" "A stronger pack," he admitted. "Allies no other pack has. But more than that, I want what was lost to be restored. I don't like seeing rare gifts wasted." Storm pressed against Mira's side. Through him, she sensed Darius was telling the truth. But the choice was hers. She looked at her wolves, at the clearing that had become home. She could stay, live wild, survive alone. Or she could take a chance. "If I come with you," she said quietly, "they come too. All of them. They are my pack." Darius didn't hesitate. "Agreed. We'll establish a sanctuary for them near Ironwood territory. They'll be safe." It was a generous offer. But she needed more. "Prove it," she said. "Swear an oath to the moon goddess that you'll never force me to shift, never punish me for being different, and you'll protect my wolves as your own." Darius grew solemn. He dropped to one knee, hand over heart. "I, Darius of Ironwood, swear by the moon goddess that I will honor Mira, the wolf speaker. I will never force her to be anything but what she is. I will never punish her for her gifts. I will protect the wild wolves under her care as my own blood. May the goddess strike me down if I break this oath." The air shimmered. Mira felt the vow settle like stone. She nodded slowly. "Then I accept. But if you betray me or my wolves, I'll leave, and take every wolf with me. No pack can withstand that." Darius rose, respect shining in his gaze. "I'd expect nothing less. Come. Let's go home." The journey to Ironwood took 2 days. Mira rode horseback while her wolves loped alongside. Darius had come prepared with supplies, clearly confident she would agree. It didn't annoy her. It felt reassuring. He took her seriously. During the journey, he told her more about why he'd been searching for a wolf speaker. His grandmother, Elalina, had been the last known one in the Northern Territories. She had died 30 years ago, but her legacy shaped everything. She could command wild wolves, Darius said as they made camp. Negotiate peace. Sense danger. She believed shifters and wild wolves were meant to work together. "Your father?" Mira asked. "He died 5 years ago protecting the pack. I became Alpha at 23. The first thing I did was study the old genealogies. That's when I found references to wolf speakers. To your grandmother's line. Mira straightened. You knew about her? She was a legend keeper, Darius said. She and my grandmother exchanged letters. When I learned her granddaughter had presented as an Omega who couldn't shift, the pieces aligned. So you've been watching me for 5 years. I've been waiting, Darius corrected gently. Waiting for the moment you needed help. When I heard about your banishment 3 days ago, I came immediately. I didn't expect you'd already awakened your gift. That night, Mira slept surrounded by wolves, with Darius keeping watch on the opposite side of the fire. She felt his gaze on her sometimes, protective, steady. For the first time in her life, she realized she had more than just wolves watching over her. Now, when they finally arrived at the Ironwood compound, Mira was stunned by what she saw. It was nothing like Silverpine. Instead of a single central building surrounded by cabins, Ironwood was a cluster of dwellings built into enormous oak trees, connected by rope bridges and wooden walkways. It looked like something lifted straight from a fairy tale, alive and harmonious with the forest around it. The pack members who came out to greet them were just as surprising. They didn't flinch at the sight of the wild wolves or stare at Mira with disgust. Instead, they bowed respectfully, murmured words of welcome, their eyes filled with curiosity rather than judgment. Mira is a wolf speaker, Darius announced to the gathered wolves. She and her companions are under my personal protection. Anyone who disrespects her or harms her wolves will answer to me directly. Yes, Alpha, echoed across the clearing in unison. Darius led Mira toward a dwelling built within the branches of an ancient oak, its windows framed by sweeping views of the forest and a wide balcony perfect for her wolves to rest. It was beautiful, warm, and more than she'd ever imagined she could have. This is yours, Darius said. For as long as you want it. No conditions, no expectations beyond what you choose to give. Mira walked through the space slowly, running her fingers along the smooth wooden walls, hardly able to believe it was real. Storm patted in, sniffed approvingly, then curled down near the fireplace with a satisfied exhale. Luna followed, then Shadow and Sage, each choosing their own corner. They approve, Mira said softly. Good, Darius replied. Because there's something I need to tell you. Something I haven't said yet because I didn't want to influence your decision. Mira turned toward him, curious now instead of guarded. She'd learned over the past 2 days that Darius was honest, direct. If he had held something back, there was likely a reason. I'm unmated, he said carefully. And when I saw you in that clearing, surrounded by 20 wild wolves ready to die for you, I felt something I've never felt before. The pull of a mate bond. Mira's breath caught. That's not possible. I was rejected. The bond was severed. You were rejected by someone who was never your true mate, Darius said. The goddess doesn't make mistakes. Mira, Garrett was never meant for you. But I think I might be. He stepped closer and Mira felt it, warmth gentle but unmistakable, the tentative bloom of a mate bond forming between them. It was nothing like the hollow obligation she'd felt with Garrett. This was fire and recognition, a sense of rightness that made her chest ache. I'm not asking you to accept anything right now, Darius added quickly. I want you to have time. Time to heal. Time to adjust. Time to decide if you want this, if you want me. But I needed you to know that I didn't search for you just out of duty. It was destiny. Mira stood there overwhelmed, thinking about everything that had happened in the past month. From rejected and banished to wolf speaker and now possibly mate to an alpha. It was a lot. But when she looked at Darius, at the sincerity in his golden eyes and felt the soft pulse of the bond between them, she realized she didn't have to decide everything today. She could take her time. She could grow into this new life at her own pace. I need time, she said at last. But I'm not saying no. I just want to learn who I am first. Let me become the wolf speaker I was meant to be. Then maybe we can explore this bond. Darius smiled, warm and genuine. That's all I ask. Take all the time you need, Mira. I'll be here when you're ready. Months passed, and Mira flourished in Ironwood. She worked closely with the wild wolves, helping establish the sanctuary Darius had promised, creating a safe place where they could live free from hunters or rival packs. The territory was perfect: dense woods, clean streams, and abundant prey. Her wolves thrived, and soon word spread. Lone wolves and small displaced packs began arriving, seeking protection under the wolf speaker's care. Mira learned the old languages from the pack elder Vera, a woman who'd been close to Darius's grandmother, Elalina. Vera taught her ancient songs and rituals passed down for generations, ways to deepen her bond with the wild wolves and unlock more of her gift. Your grandmother knew these songs, Vera said one afternoon as they sat in the elder's dwelling. Elalina taught them to her when they were young. Your grandmother sang them to you as a child, didn't she? Mira's eyes widened. I remember. She'd sing strange words I didn't understand. I thought they were lullabies. They were lessons, Vera explained. Teaching songs. Planting knowledge in your mind so that when your gift awakened, you'd already have the foundation. She was preparing you, protecting you in the only way she could. Tears stung Mira's eyes. Her grandmother had known. She tried to give Mira what she needed long before Mira had understood any of it. As the months went on, Mira also discovered that her wolf speaker gift extended beyond wild wolves. She could sense emotional wounds in shifters too: trauma, fear, grief, and offer comfort through the same connection she used with her wolves. She became someone pack members sought out when they needed a place to unravel safely. Children who'd lost parents. Warriors haunted by old battles. Omegas who felt invisible. She helped them all, and with each soul she helped heal, she felt her own purpose grow deeper. Through it all, Darius courted her, not with extravagance, but with patience, respect, and quiet devotion. He brought her rare books about wolf speakers from faraway archives. He trained with her so she could defend herself when her wolves weren't around. He spent long evenings simply talking with her, sharing his childhood memories, his fears as a young alpha, his dreams for Ironwood's future. He never pressured her or demanded more than she offered. He simply showed up, consistently, wholeheartedly. And slowly, Mira fell in love. Not because of the bond, though it pulsed stronger each day, but because of who he was: a leader who honored tradition and embraced change, a protector who lifted up the vulnerable, a man who saw her gift as something powerful, not shameful. One evening, as winter crept in and the first snow drifted down, Mira stood in the sanctuary with her wolves when she felt the mate bond surge. She looked up to find Darius standing at the edge of the clearing, watching her with an expression that stole her breath. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing," he said softly. "I just realized it's been exactly 1 year since I found you by that fire. 1 year since 20 wolves laid down beside you and changed everything." Mira smiled faintly. "It feels like a lifetime ago. Like that scared, rejected Omega was someone else entirely." "She was," Darius said. "You've become something extraordinary, Mira. And whether you ever accept the bond or not, whether you ever choose me or not, watching you step into your power has been the greatest privilege of my life." Something shifted inside her. She'd been waiting, holding back, convincing herself she still needed more time. But standing there in the falling snow, surrounded by her wolves, looking at the man who had protected her, supported her, and given her the freedom to grow, she knew the truth. She didn't need more time. She already knew her answer. "I'm ready," she said. Darius's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Mira said, stepping closer. "I want this. I want you. I choose you, not because destiny demands it, but because I love you." Darius crossed the clearing in 3 swift steps and pulled her into his arms, kissing her with all the longing of a year spent waiting. When they finally broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "I love you, Mira," he whispered. "Not the wolf speaker, not the gift. You." The woman who survived rejection and banishment and emerged stronger. The woman who built a family out of wild wolves. You're magnificent, and I'll spend my life making sure you never forget it. I love you too, Mira whispered back. And I'll spend my life helping you build a pack where no one is cast out for being different. Around them, her wolves began to howl, a chorus of celebration echoing through the forest. Storm padded forward and pressed his massive head against both of them, approval radiating through their bond. One by one, the other wolves joined, forming a circle around the couple, blessing their union in the old way. The mating ceremony took place 2 weeks later on the winter solstice, beneath a glowing full moon. Both shifters and wild wolves gathered in the clearing near Mira's home. Storm, now recognized as the alpha of the wild sanctuary, stood proudly at Mira's side as she and Darius exchanged vows. I, Mira, wolf speaker and Luna of Ironwood, take you, Darius, as my mate, she said, her voice steady. I vow to stand beside you, to share your burdens and celebrate your victories. I vow to help build a pack that honors the old ways while embracing the future. I vow to love you, not because fate chose you, but because I choose you every day. Darius's voice was thick with emotion. I, Darius, Alpha of Ironwood, take you, Mira, as my mate. I vow to protect you, honor your gifts, support your growth. I vow to build a pack with you where every wolf, shifter or wild, is valued. I vow to love you, not because you revived our connection to the old ways, but because you revived me. When Darius marked her, claiming her before the entire pack, the bond between them flared bright and powerful. Mira felt it settle deep inside her, warm, permanent, perfect. She was no longer a rejected Omega. She was a wolf speaker, a Luna, a bridge between worlds, exactly where she belonged. The celebration lasted deep into the night, shifters and wolves mingling in harmony not seen for generations. Mira watched with awe, seeing the future she and Darius would shape together, a pack that honored every gift, a sanctuary that would grow far beyond wolves, a legacy that would endure. As the fire dwindled and wolves drifted home, Darius wrapped his arms around Mira from behind. Happy, he murmured. Happier than I ever imagined, Mira said. A year ago I was dying by a fire, certain my life was over. Now I have a mate, a pack, a purpose, everything I never knew I wanted. The goddess works in mysterious ways, Darius said. Garrett rejecting you was the worst moment of your life, but also the best, because it led you here. Mira turned to face him. I used to think being different was a curse. That not shifting made me broken. Now I understand, I wasn't meant to be like everyone else. I was meant to be something more, something that bridges wild and tame, past and future. You are more, Darius whispered, kissing her gently. And I'll spend our lives making sure you know it. Years later, when young wolves came to Luna Mira seeking guidance, feeling broken or different or alone, she took them to the sanctuary. She showed them Storm and Luna and Shadow and the others who'd found refuge there. She told them her story, every part of it, the rejection, the banishment, the night she thought she'd die. Then she told them about the 20 wolves who lay down beside her and recognized her worth when her own pack couldn't. Your pack doesn't define your worth, she'd tell them. Your inability to fit someone else's expectations doesn't make you defective. The greatest gifts often come in forms others don't understand. Trust the moon goddess. Trust yourself. And know that somewhere out there, your true pack is waiting for you. You just have to survive long enough to meet them. And if one young Omega left the sanctuary standing a little taller, hope rekindled, believing for the first time that maybe they weren't broken, Mira knew she'd fulfilled her purpose. She'd become the person she needed when she had been lost. She'd become the wolf speaker who not only communicated with wolves, but who helped lost souls find their way home. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel for more werewolf romance tales, alpha kings, rejected mates, and powerful Omega stories. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Leave a comment below telling me what you thought of Mira and Darius's story and what kind of stories you'd like next. Your support means everything and helps me create more content like this. Thank you for reading, and I'll see you in the next one.